I'm a sucker for a good love story, but the fact that it has to be a good love story really hampers my ability to enjoy the majority of anime romance. Romantic relationships are difficult to portray well in any medium, but anime in particular has a long-standing tradition of royally screwing it up. Thankfully, Sword Art Online Abridged comes through for me yet again by taking what was a fairly standard, if decently paced, anime love story and turning it into a romance worth writing a video about. The relationship between Kurt and Ass is real, and it has a clear and satisfying emotional arc that doesn't just feel like the inevitable result of having two main characters with different junk. Kurt and Ass might be terrible, dysfunctional, borderline psychopathic, and, as Yui puts it, more a loose collection of character defects than people, but together they're able to play off of each other's faults and create one of the most compelling portrayals of an adolescent romance that I've ever seen. In order to understand how these two people function as a unit, we need to understand how they function individually. Let's start with Kurt. This is Kurt. When we're first introduced to Kurt, it's immediately apparent that he's a fucking asshole. This guy is experiencing the world's first full-dive virtual MMO, and instead of questing, or leveling, or exploring, he spends the entire first day making fun of this guy for not being able to kill a pig with a rock. In addition to being a great joke, this is a very important character moment. Kurt isn't making fun of balls instead of enjoying the game. That is Kurt's way of enjoying the game. Even IRL, MMORPGs are commonly seen as a kind of escapist wish fulfillment, where people who aren't satisfied with their lives can go to experience the kind of life they've always wanted to have. So too with Kurt. Kurt isn't just an asshole. He's the asshole he's always aspired to be. We start seeing this immediately after his Pebble diatribe, when Balls responds to 8 hours of mockery by saying, "I have a feeling you get beat up a lot in real life," and Kurt shoots back, "Shut up! Here I have power!" In the 11th episode, Kurt admits that being trapped in SAO was a dream come true for him, since he was shoved around and treated like garbage in the real world. More than anyone else in the series that we know about, Kurt is taking advantage of the escapist potential of a full-dive MMO. But instead of using it to explore an exciting new world, he's using it to correct a power disparity that he feels is unjust. Additionally, Kurt honestly does believe that he's better than everyone else around him, and he's mostly right. During the final fight on floor 75, Kayaba sympathizes with Kurt, saying that they're both geniuses in a world that just can't keep up with them, and Kurt says that he's glad someone finally understands his pain. This sense of innate superiority, coupled with his natural skill at the game and the extra experience that comes from being a beta tester, makes it easy for Kurt to go mad with power and dismiss everybody else in the game as useless piss ants, as is clearly shown during his get good speech after the fight with Ilfang. But the catharsis that comes from exerting his power over others is shallow and doesn't satisfy him in any meaningful way. He may put on an arrogant tough guy persona, but that's mostly his way of dealing with the fact that he has no idea how to deal with the fact that he's now on the superior end of the social power disparity. What Kurt really wants is for people to legitimately like him, but since he's never been in this position before, he just shows off his skill feathers like some kind of strutting MMO peacock and hopes that everyone else bows to the king. Case in point, have a look at this scene from the first episode, assuming I don't get content ID'd again.
You may be the most unbearable asshole I've ever met, but you are really good at this game. We could use you in our group. What do you say? You can meet my friends, we'll form a guild, and have all these adventures. It'll be great! Well, screw you too! Think you're too good to join my guild? Think you're all cool because you know how to kill a boar?
There are two parts to Balls' comment here. First is the unbearable asshole part, and second is the I don't mind you being an unbearable asshole because you're so good at this game part. If Kurt really were the self-righteous lion in a world of sheep that he claims to be, he would either jump at the chance to join a guild filled with weak players who would marvel at his giant sword cock, or he would think that Balls' offer was beneath him and mock him for it. But he doesn't do that. Instead, he runs off in tears because this person he spent the entire day making fun of called him an asshole. Balls' assessment of his character causes him to run away crying, but he doesn't even seem to notice the second part of the statement, which is honestly a very high compliment to his gaming skill. Either that, or he runs off immediately following the unbearable asshole comment and doesn't even stick around for the second part, which says enough in its own right. This desire to be liked is also displayed at the beginning of the second episode.
That didn't bother the kid none. He only cared about one thing, and one thing alone, himself. 'Cause in a game of life or death, you either live or you die.
Oh, wow. What brilliant insight. It's so deep, it loops right back around to being stupid.
The kid ranted at no one. It's slowly dawning just how alone he truly was.
This scene is important because the game itself is the one mocking him for being a friendless loser. This shows that no matter how good Kurt gets at Sword Art Online, he's never going to be the person he wants to be until he learns how to get people to stop thinking he's an arrogant cock goblin. Since he doesn't know how to do that, he puts up this asshole front to make it look like he's choosing to be alone because nobody else is good enough for him, instead of just being ostracized by society for being an arrogant cock goblin. Enter ass. Enter ass.
What about you? Why haven't you joined the others?
Oh, lots of reasons. Mostly because they're a bunch of mouth-breathing neckbeards who think LMAO is how French people laugh.
That's so Lamau.
Wow, you certainly speak from the heart.
Funny, I thought I was speaking from my mouth, but shows what I know about biology.
No one else wanted you in their group, did they?
Shut up, it was mutual!
Ass is unique among the early cast of the series in that she immediately recognizes Kurt's facade. When Kurt runs away from Balls at the end of the first episode, Balls takes this as a personal attack, responding, "Well, screw you too, think you're too good to join my guild." And during Taco Bell's death scene, he buys into Kurt's persona completely and wishes he could be more like him. Ass is the only one who implicitly understands that Kurt's allegedly voluntary isolation is a response to society's view of him and not the other way around. And the reason she's able to do this is because she is also putting on a front to get people to like her. She's just better at it than Kurt. Ass is a full-fledged psychopath. Unlike Kurt, whose personage is mostly built around the idea of self-aggrandizement, Ass's is more about trying to pass as a moderately normal human being. Consider this exchange from the 5th episode.
Okay, fine, God. Just want to prove I was right. There's no way that guy's really dead. There's something else going on here, and I'm gonna prove it.
Wow, how noble of you.
Oh, spare me, Wonder Woman. You're only doing this to prove I was wrong.
Hey, at least I pretend to be nice to people!
Yeah, whatever. Wait, pretend?
Here, Ass makes my job easy by unambiguously stating that any sense of outward friendliness she displays is a lie. There are 2 reasons for this, and strangely enough, they're the same 2 reasons that Kurt has for putting on his front. First, while Ass has had some social success, she does have experience with people shunning her once they get to know the quote-unquote real Ass. This dislike/fear of her is so bad that it gets to the point where 2 people are willing to jump out of windows in order to avoid being in the same room as her, so it makes sense that she would do her best to make sure that people see a version of her that doesn't make them want to jump out of windows. Second, Ass doesn't have the best life in the real world either. In the 10th episode, when the 2 of them are dancing their beautiful dysfunctional marriage tango, Ass's inner monologue states that her stubbornness comes from her mother, who told her to dig in her heels when she's wrong and never show weakness. She also says that her parents are getting divorced. Nothing against divorced parents, but that kind of attitude coupled with divorce-inducing levels of conflict suggests that her household growing up wasn't exactly happy and functional. And that kind of familial situation, if it were bad enough, would understandably lead to her having the attitude that she does. And it's worth pointing out that that attitude is abusive, at least at first. This might be obvious, considering that she committed arson against a perceived romantic rival, but it bears repeating because her implicit understanding of Kurt allows her to really dig her nails into his mind and make sure he sticks around. Kurt's PTSD after Sachi's death is the basis for pretty much all of his decisions, and Ass knows that. He's afraid to get close to anyone for fear that they're just going to up and die on him again, so he's left in this state of semi-self-imposed lonesomeness that he can't get out of without opening himself up to pain. Ass is aware of this mental block and uses it as a tool to keep Kurt around, like she does in this scene.
Look, I know you're not crazy about guilds after your last one's unfortunate breakup, but don't worry, okay? I'm sure as hell not gonna die on you like that dumb bitch Sally.
Sachi.
Shh. It doesn't matter. She's dead now, so cheer up, okay? I promise. Things are gonna be better this time.
Here, Ass does 2 things. First, she undercuts Kurt's emotional attachment to another woman in order to make sure that he never forgets that she is the main bitch in this situation and that any side chicks he's thinking about are gonna wake up charbroiled. Second, she reminds him of what he initially respected about her in the first place, the fact that she is so good at video games that she will never die. In doing so, Ass is able to simultaneously comfort her romantic partner, convince him that his emotional investment in her isn't misplaced, and assert her dominance as the #1 yandere bitch. But Ass isn't just #1 yandere bitch. She's #1 yandere bitch because she's afraid. Whenever she gets vaguely close to somebody, it's
I didn't say anything, I swear!
Wait for me! I know a shortcut!
Basically that. So now that she has somebody who's willing to stick around, she wants to do everything she can to make sure he sticks around. And the best part is that Kurt is receptive to it. His compounding insecurities lead him to believe that he's basically unlikable, and that having any kind of emotional investment in other people just isn't worth it. So naturally, he's willing to go along with somebody whose compounding insecurities cause her to be aggressively affectionate, especially since he doesn't have to worry about her getting her ass kicked by slaughternauts and murder golems. After all, what he initially respected about Ass was that she was able to hold her own in the first boss fight despite not knowing how to open the damn menu. He sees her as a naturally talented leet who might be able to actually keep up with him if given the chance. And their first kiss happens immediately after this brilliant line from Kurt that sums up everything he feels about her in 2 words.
Ah, you bitch.
I know this sounds sarcastic, but hear me out. Right before this scene, Kirito says this exact line when Ass stabs him, and immediately follows it up with, "You know, people always think that being called a bitch is so negative, but frankly, I just think it shows how you're strong and confident and absolutely fucking terrifying, please don't kill me." Strong and confident and absolutely fucking terrifying, please don't kill me is exactly how Kurt feels about Ass. God, I can't even maintain my composure. This is so good. It's so good. This is how you write, people. This is how you write. And then there's their actual romantic interactions. The way these two cluelessly fumble around each other with no idea what they're supposed to be doing is perfect because this is a teenage romance. Young adult characters in anime often exist in this kind of nebulous space where they're always as mature as they need to be, and I swore I wouldn't bring up SAO proper in this video, but it's a great point of comparison, so fuck the system. The romance between Kirito and Asuna is okay. It's not bad. There are some cute moments and some cringeworthy dialogue, and overall it's fine. But what really annoyed me was how mature the whole thing was. These kids are 16 and are already happily and effectively married with a daughter who they are totally capable of raising. And you can say that teenagers are typically happier together, which is fair, but they don't act like teenagers in that respect either. No weird pet names, no constant contact, and I can't confirm this, but it doesn't seem like they're fucking 3 times a day on every surface of their cottage. It's just a perfectly normal relationship, and I can't speak for you all, but I know that I never had a perfectly normal relationship like this when I was 16, or 17, 18, 19, 20... 21. I've only seen 3 anime that portray teen romance well. Evangelion, Sound Euphonium, and SAO Abridged. And of those 3, SAO Abridged is the best one that I'm going to be talking about at length in this video. The way Kurt's sexuality is expressed is perfect, not just because he's a teenage boy, but also specifically for his character. Just like Kurt puts on the overconfident, too cool for school persona for society at large, he also presents himself as a worldly James Bond type around hashtag the ladies. Specifically Ass when he starts talking about the hashtag dubious implications of her having him over late at night. And when Ass reveals everything, Kurt's is about the right reaction for somebody whose whole experience with sex comes from dating sims. And the way the series portrays Ass's relationship with her sexuality is brilliant too. She's confident and able to go after what she wants, which is consistent with her yandere personality, but she also uses sex as a tool in her manipulation of Kurt, as demonstrated when he suggests that getting married was the worst mistake of their lives, and she shuts him up with her mouth. And don't even get me started on the whole post-sex debacle. Their ignorance about how their relationship is supposed to proceed after sex, followed by a grand romantic gesture that neither of them really wants, but that they both accept out of pure stubbornness and an unwillingness to admit defeat, is the most adolescent thing I have ever seen in anime. And what really brings it home is how the whole thing is resolved. Instead of blowing up in their faces or escalating to the point of absolute madness before one or both of them finally breaks down and admits defeat, they go through some serious emotional trauma together and emerge as stronger and more mature people who are finally able to have a grown-up conversation about the future of their relationship, which ends with them realizing how stupid they were to have their little romantic dick measuring contest in the first place. Which brings me to everyone's favorite kawaii AI daughteru, Yui. The most important thing about Yui is that she is a perfect fit for this family because of this line right here.
I am sorry I lied to you. I inserted myself into your lives merely to satisfy my own curiosity. At least, at first. It was nice to be a part of your family.
All through episode 10, both Kurt and Ass use Yui as a tool to try to get the other one to be the first to admit that their marriage is a sham. But the reason this is brilliant is because Yui is using them as well. This is how Yui is able to have such a profound effect on them. While we see some of their parental instincts start to kick in just from being around her, i.e. Kurt being impressed with her verbal takedown of Yulier and Ass calling her an adorable little troglodyte, what really causes the two of them to change and mature is seeing themselves reflected in Yui. Just like them, Yui is a manipulator who is using them to achieve her own goals, namely learning about love, but the reason she has such a huge impact is because despite initially using Kurt and Ass to her own ends, Yui selflessly risks being deleted to save them from the dollar store blow-up skeleton man. Seeing someone as manipulative as they are risk death to save the people they're manipulating makes both of them realize what sociopathic idiots they've been. And Ass in particular falls over and wails in anguish at Yui's death, showing off some really impressive voice work from Bubble Monkey. Huh. Finally, let's talk about their last moments together. While the two of them are sitting up in heaven watching the world burn, just like they've always wanted, we get a few very satisfying and legitimately touching moments. First, they share their real names. For two people who have spent the entire series putting up walls and acting out personas, the fact that the series ends with the two of them being comfortable enough to share their real selves with each other is very poignant. Second is how their last conversation starts with Ass berating Kurt for crying, and continues with her making little jabs at him for thinking he can build a robot body for Yui. Their relationship dynamic is mostly built on playfully poking fun at each other, and to see her lightly mock him at such a serious moment while they're both crying and smiling is really beautiful because it further displays the level of comfort they've achieved with each other. And the playful nature of the insults shows how far they've come from the much harsher and more biting mockery of their first few episodes together. And lastly, Ass's last words to Kurt demonstrate that she's fully managed to get past his barriers and is able to understand him implicitly without having to be told what he's feeling. Kurt seriously tells her that he loves her for the first time, and she pulls a Han Solo and says, "I know," meaning that for all the problems and conflicts they have, for all the posturing and emotional trauma, she is able to see the real him, and she likes what she sees. I do have more that I could say about SAO Abridged, but I think that 2 videos is enough for now. I am moving into a new apartment, so I'll save the next one for when I break something and need to pay my insurance deductible. For those of you who missed my sick rap at the end of my How to Play Magic video, which is around 190,000 of you, I recently launched a Patreon and switched it to a monthly subscription service. So go there and you can join these lovely people in getting cool rewards like access to an exclusive Discord server and a Minecraft server where you can play with me and you can hold my clips for me in my videos and all kinds of other stuff. And it's really cool and you should do it, and it helps me make my content gooder, oftener, and more consistently. So go there and help me and get stuff. And also for the 3,000 of you who commented on my last video, yes, I know that Han Solo is from Star Trek. It was a... Hang on, I'm getting a text. Holy shit. I gotta go. I'll be back in a minute. Pedro-senpai!
Stop calling me that.
No. Are the pairings up?
Yeah, check the screen.
Says I'm up against some guy named Anime Everyday.
Ooh, that'll be a fight to see. He hates making things boring.
Don't know anything about him. What kind of stuff does he put out?
He's got really slick editing skills. When he doesn't have to go back and redo it, I mean.
Well, I'm in a good spot if it comes down to editing, but I'm worried about output. I mean, how am I supposed to compete with someone who puts out anime every day?
More like anime every month. If he's lucky.
But still.
Don't worry, I've spent the last 4 years of my life taking notes on all the big names. Digi, Arcata, Giguk. I know all their abilities, all their habits, all their weaknesses.
Oh!
And I kept all my notes in one piece.
Oh!
Lewis has incredible taste in anime, so there'll be no point trying to outsmart him by pitting your knowledge of the classics up against his.
Well, my Twitter followers are still giving me shit for giving Evangelion a 6 on Mal, so I'll try to stick to newer stuff. Wow, his knowledge of anime history is off the charts.
With such a broad pool of general context to draw upon, you'll need to make sure to get in close and battle it out with specifics to take him down.
Like when I spent over 45 seconds talking about the significance of a single panty shot in Watamote?
Exactly. If you make a half-hour-long video of panty shot analysis, that'll be sure to do him in.
I don't know. I think I need to research this guy a bit more. Does he have, like, a Twitter I could follow?
Yeah, at anime_everyday.
What about a Patreon?
That'd be patreon.com/thepedanticromantic.
Street address? Social security number?
I don't...
Oh, shit, that's my alarm.
Wait, where are you going?
I have to get this video edited by
Tuesday!
What about the ice cream social?
I'll be at the next one!
But-
And Lachlan!
Hmm?
Thanks! It was a good fight.
I held out as long as I could, but at the end of the day, this was the only way things were going to turn out. I'll see you at the top.
Yeah! I'll see you at the top.
That kid.
Okay, I'm back. Why do I suddenly feel the need to thank Aaron Burks for making art for me on ridiculously short notice? And to pimp his Twitter? Oh well, I'm sure it's nothing. So that was the tournament organizers, and it turns out we're up against Anime Every Day. Lewis, you make great stuff, but I will be the #1 anime YouTuber. Watch your back. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, this has been Explanation Point, signing out.